first of all, I would like to introduce myself. So, my name is Mayur, and I'll be the host for today's panel discussion on the topic debugging 3D model generation, optimizing time for quality results. So, let's start with our guest experts introduction. So, first, I will go with Abraham. Could you please introduce yourself to
Oh,
the
sure.
audience?
Yep. So this is Abraham. I'm the studio head and creative director of Islet Studio. So pretty much just to give a quick intro, we are an indie game studio from Chennai, India, and we shipped our first title. And currently we are working on the second part of the game, Unsung Empires, the Cholas. Yeah. And really looking forward for this discussion.
Fantastic. So let's come to Prathamesh. Prathamesh, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, Namaskaram. I'm Pramsh. So I work at Prographer as technical lead. So I have 6 years of experience in Unreal Engine and Unity, and even for 3D artists also.
Okay, great. So how has your journey? First of all, I would like to understand from Prathamesh. Prathamesh, how did you came to know about XR industry and how did you step into XR industry?
So when I was in college, so that time I once saw the video for VR. I think it's in 2014. So that time I got to learn like what is the VR, what is the XR, AR. So that time after at a 2017, I started my own company called Mum in Pune. So basically, we are working on VR for architecture field. So after 2020, I had to shut it down my company, and then I have work at PwC, and right now I'm working at Prographer.
Great, amazing. So Abraham, what made you to come into the XR industry?
I think I would call since we're more into gaming field, I think XR is one such experience which we always try to evaluate because we still have a VR pipeline for our game. But only thing is so what are things which we are going to have? It's all about fidelity between optimization, right? So I think that's the part which we are working on, and I think the XR industry is like a superset. That's where like the gaming and architecture and everything comes along with it. So that's how we started our journey towards the gaming field. But we are seeing more opportunity in XR because people want immersive content. I think that's the reason we wanted to venture into XR industry as well.
Oh, that's really awesome. Coming back to our topic, I would like to ask the very common question to both of you. What is the biggest challenge faced by developers when it comes to designing and building 3D models for their XR content?
Sure.
We can start with Abraham. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead. I think maybe just to give a quick overview, I think it always comes to the polygon count, right? It's always nailed down to that part. And our game is entirely sets in the entire like the Chola history of 12th century Tamil Nadu. So one of the key challenges, the immersiveness is the USP of the product. So if someone sees a ancient pot, it has to be a lookalike of ancient pot. But one thing which we also have is like the performance because it needs to run on another spectrum of hardware. Like people from with having a 1650, they should have the same experience. Similarly, the 4090, and even with the XR as well, it always the primary constraint will be the hardware. So I think that the polygon count is the first thing which we try to optimize. I think the second one, which I would definitely call about, is the textures, because we had stories we were using like a 4K texture for a leaf, which doesn't even matter because people won't even notice. Uh, I think these are the two things. Whenever we talk about like the three, it always comes to that part. Like say the biggest challenge which our developers face as well, because whenever we are designing, so then one thing which really helped us is we are able to standardize things across the studio. Like even if anyone wants to work on modeling, we try to have like a specific set of constraint, and whatever they are delivering, it needs to have that constraint. Like the texture, if it's going to be prop, don't do it more than 1K. If it's going to be polygon count, have a budget. If it's going to be a cinematic character, you can go up to like 50,000 triangle. I think these things are the one which we learn from our mistake, I guess. But and definitely, even with all the advanced hardware, since the target market is still like still 2 years away. Like whenever new hardware comes in, we people are still using like a 5-year-old hardware, and I think that's where the challenges comes in. And we definitely need to balance between the quality and the performance as well. So yeah, so these are the challenges which we face actually. So it's more of our side of the story. Yeah.
And what are your views on this, Prathamesh?
Same as Abraham, but I would like to add some 2 points. See, for XR creation, we majorly use two tools. One is for Unreal and one is for Unity. So we need to create the 3D models that optimize for the both of them, for Unity also and for Unreal also. So we must need to create some pipeline that it should be usable for both of them. Same answer as Abraham.
All right.
It is a texture resolution, polygon count, and LODs. So we need to create that structure value. Like if you want to create a 3D model for leaves, for sofa, or for anything, so we need to create one structure. Like up to we have to create only 1,000 polygon. So we need to create a 1,000 polygon only.
That's fair enough. So, coming to Abraham again, Abraham, what factors contribute to the varying rates of adoption of 3D model creation technologies across different industries?
I think it always comes to I would call like business part. Like whenever we meet people who wants to try 3D modeling in their business, say like a store wants to do a 3D model based like the shopping experience. Uh, it always comes to the cost. So how much they are going to invest, and what is the ROI? I think that's where like the entire adoption strives towards. Like say if I'm adding an XR experience to my game, what will be my ROI? What will they spend? I think like it always comes to that point in any industry. I think that's the one thing which I see like a crucial one. And there are like few other things which I would say is like definitely and things vary based upon the industry requirement as well. So, say for example, if you take like gaming or architecture side, but there are like few other industry like the manufacturing or product design, there will be a phase where the 3D modeling comes in, but it won't be like a visually a competitive one. It's more of an engineering perspective of the modeling and development. And one thing which we've seen is to some of our people which we talk conversation is the complaints as well. Say if we are going to use a modeling in say in the medical industry, there are a lot of complaints that comes in which restricts our I think the growth I would say because there are a lot of things that comes in whenever we go into that side of adoption. So these are some of the things which I would say like on the factors that changes the adoption, but it always dives down to business. What is ROI? I think that is going to be the key part which we need to think about.
That is going to be one key factor we can say.
Yeah.
Coming to Prathamesh, how can businesses and organizations overcome resistance to adopting 3D modeling tools and incorporate them into their workflows?
Okay, I would say there are some multiple factors. Okay, which company and business needs to understand. Okay, first thing they need to understand like what software they are using. Okay, if they are using 3ds Max, Blender, or Maya for their 3D creation, they need to know like what is the process, what are the settings. So by doing this, what can we achieve? The thing is, see, like my previous company said, they don't know anything about the Max and Maya. Okay, they are giving us we have to do these kind of things, but they don't know. They haven't created any pipeline for it, and like there are so many factors here. Okay, so we are see company. So there are multiple team factor. Okay, so there are so many people working as a team, but here we need to create a company needs to create one pipeline, create one asset structure for it. So company needs to follow the asset structure guidelines and everything. So here like in various companies they don't have any pipeline, they don't have any guidelines to create 3D models, what kind of 3D models they need. So that's the reason why the companies are like not earning that much. So first, company needs to create a pipeline. They need to understand what software they are using. And another thing, if you are using Blender, Max, Maya, then company should use the software that give us realistic result and 3D models.
So I believe it also depends on the developer side as well, or the designer artist side as well,
It's
to
depend on
make the
both of
model.
them. It's depend on
Sorry,
both of them. It's
both of
depend
them.
on both of them.
Okay, great. Coming to, this we spoke about the adoption part. Now, when there is an adoption, there has to be a lot of challenges that a user or the organization might be facing, right? So,
Yeah.
coming to Abraham, what are the most common technical challenges encountered during the process of creating 3D models?
I think I would call like there are like two different phases where we face a lot of technical challenges. Is one on the creation side, definitely like there are a lot of things which we need to consider. I will talk more about that as well. But there are like other things is say if we don't do the creation process right, there we are going to get like a ton of feedback talking about optimization issues or uh, even you never know, like even a small prop that is like a 4K texture can take the FPS down, and it always comes to FPS as well. So I think we need to make sure like the creation process is right, even before the start of the project. We always believe in like let's plan what we are going to develop, even on the 3D modeling side as well, even before putting everything into the level or doing the block codes. And I think one thing which it really worked since we have a team who is more of like who is more like a lot of all rounders in our team. So there are a lot of people who work on modeling as well, who do environment. So in that scenario, we one thing which we work for us is the setting the standard studio wide. Say even from the material, even from the shaders, even from the polygon count, we made sure everyone has to follow that. Say if you're going to work on a foliages, this is the max budget which you can use. And don't do any complex logic and shaders because we are a Unreal Engine based studio, so we primarily work on that. There are a few cases like we add grass types on the materials, we add like the wind logic on the material. So we try to optimize that. I think that is one thing. The polygon management is the one first challenges which we face whenever we work during the development process. And one another thing which I would say is I think on the performance side we have nanites and all the greatest and latest, but still we need to understand the user market as well. Like what is the percentage share of your market who are going to try the product, and what's the hardware limitation which they have. I think that is very crucial, uh, and and that awareness has to be with the entire team even from the day one, because it's not a business thing to say like this is our addressable market. I think the developer has to know these are the some of the players who are going to experience the game or the any experience which we are going to develop. And one thing which we realized in a hard way whenever we are working on the first title is, I think the management of 3D asset. I think that's where the complex part comes in. Like during the release, when we look back, like we have been working for more than a year and a half, and we had more than like 200 plus assets which we created, and managing everything, like the structuring everything was the hard part. And even if you want to change something, go back and change something, we are not able to find that. So I think one thing which we did for that is we have now like set up an entire Git pipeline for that. So everything is organized. We have like like the 3D artist generated the FBX, which with the like three different version, like optimized one, which with the cinematic one, so that everything is in the Git. And one another challenge is the developer adoption as well. Like whenever we say Git to a 3D artist, there will always be a resistance. Like they kind of feel that it's on the more programming side of things. But I think that awareness is needed whenever we are doing a project at this scale. Like and definitely that kind of solves a lot of problem when you are like when you are after 1 year into the project with all like And definitely there are a lot of projects where it will be more than like 500 plus assets. So plan your pipeline. I think that is the one thing which I would definitely say that messes up the project. So these were the challenges which we faced even during the creation and the impacts on the once the release was there.
And Prathamesh, what strategies do you employ to maintain consistency and accuracy across different parts of a 3D model?
So as I mentioned before, first thing we need to create a guidelines and asset library, including 3D models, materials, and textures. Okay. So it is essential that all the employees should follow the same guideline for creating 3D asset, for creating material. Another thing for optimize, so we can use version control, such as GitHub, SVM, sorry, for collaborative projects. So it is about collaborative, right? So as I mentioned, Abhiram, so we need to create as I mentioned, right, Abhiram mentioned that we need to create a pipeline, right? So here we need to create a pipeline, like from starting to 3D asset, textile density, material, what kind of textures resolution we are getting, like 2K, 4K, and for which software we are using. If you are using Unreal, if you are using Unity, for we need to create such 3D model that 3D model it can be usable for Max, Unity also and Unreal also. Okay. And another thing, we need to train our employees. First thing, that he should follow the same pipeline. He should follow the like 3D model guidelines. And the main important factor I have faced that the most of the people don't use the naming convention, just as such as SM, T for texture, SM for static mesh. So by using this kind of thing, every time if we made any changes in Labrina, so we have to check for their quality and assign someone also. So every time, something like in library, so suppose we had to create some new meshes, one new 3D model. So we had to like that developer had to create the 3D model as per the guidelines, and we had to check for their quality also. So quality is important factor here.
All right. That is, quality is something that everyone is looking for. Even the content developers or even the content users are looking for quality, nowadays. So that is basically going to play a very important role when you create a 3D model, I believe, because you are going to think about the perspective of quality only,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah. Like, Prathamesh, how might the integration of real-time rendering engines and simulation tools influence the way we create 3D models?
Okay, overall integration of real-time rendering and simulation to offers numerous benefits for 3D industries. Okay, including the visualization factor, iteration factor, and collaboration factor also. Okay, so real-time rendering allows the instant visualization. So I work in ArcViz field, right? So in ArcViz, so as per my experience, by using real-time rendering as a Lumen, we are getting perfect output in the short amount of time. Okay,
Right.
if you want to change something, we can do it, and the result will if you change something, we can do it within a short span of time also.
That is right.
Even
Yeah,
real-time
sorry.
rendering developer also, like if they don't know about 3D process, real-time process, but even for freshers, real-time is easable.
Yes, and this will actually reduce a lot of time, we can say.
Yeah,
It will save a lot of time, that means.
suggestion even for texture mapping, lighting, and shading also.
Exactly. Right. So, Ibrahim, as technology continues to advance, what new approaches or methodologies do you foresee emerging in the field of 3D modeling?
So one thing which I would say is like I think with all the AI and LLMs that's being around in all the other industry, I think one thing which I foresee is there will definitely be a generative modeling. I think there are few, but still at early stages, but it's definitely coming, I guess, because if there are a lot of things that we can do, uh, if we're able to do more of a procedural or generative modeling, I think that is going to be the next big thing in the modeling industry. And I think one other thing which I foresee is like the optimization. It's definitely not going to replace any 3D artist or any modelers. It's going to be more like an accelerator for them to make the work quick. And definitely, it kind of solves a large piece of sculpting or like doing the UV and all the on that side of things. And definitely with with the nanite and the way which the engine providers are going, we can definitely see a lot of real time assets that comes into the gaming as well. Because we know like there are a lot of things which we have now foresees, like there are real time scannings and the photogrammetry and everything. That is going to be the key part. Which will be very normal. Even we don't need to specify it in the future. I guess it'll be more like it's a new normal which will be in the industry. And even for the XR, even for the gaming, I think that is going to be the base requirement which the people will be having. And on the other side, even when we started our studio, we were looking for like the cloud side of things to do work. And if people wanted to work on a remote, we're definitely looking for like say like any cloud providers which is like the optimist. Like whenever you're sculpting, it has to be in like a split second. So I think in that industry as well, it's going to be there is going to be a lot of collaboration on that side, and which is crucial for working across the world as well. So I think I see these kind of things that comes into 3D modeling side of the world, and definitely. And the final thing which I would say is there will be a lot of toolkits that will be coming for optimization of the modeling as well. So I think these are the things which I see like the approaches which are going to change the industry in the future.
That's really great insights, basically. We nowadays we have seen that there are a lot of AI tools which are used for 3D model creations and 3D modeling as well, which has actually reduced the time to a very short span of time. Like if you go through Blender or 3D Max or Maya, how long do you think it takes to create a 3D model?
I think, say, one thing which we definitely see is like, say, if, for example, for doing a modeling, whether if it takes like 1 week, we are going to complete it in 1 day, I guess, with all the generative modeling in place. Because
Yes.
I was able to get the base ready, so we just need to work on top of it and get things out. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that nowadays, like I have been using a lot of applications as well, where we have also launched the Ajna Kriti. If you are
Oh,
aware, Ajna Lens has launched its own AI tool named as Ajna Kriti.
okay.
So you if you want to create any kind of 3D model, what you can do, you can just type it around and go have a grab a cup of coffee and come back, and your model is ready completely. So that is how the fast the technology is moving around, and that is how fast India is actually growing into a tech field, like, right? And when you see for the newcomers nowadays, or for the developers or the 3D artists, this is going to be a very easy task for them to do. So if suppose I am an artist, I am creating one model, I have to create a model, I can directly write it down, I get a base at least, and now I can make the changes accordingly, however I want. Suppose if I want to make a chair, I can just directly create a chair from this what we say is from the AI tools or from
Mm.
Ajna Kriti, and then I can move it and I can give it the shading or colors according to however I want. So that
Mm.
is actually a fantastic thing for you guys, right? For the developers as well.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely. And it kind of reduces the turnaround time between the business and the like or the creative department and the the art department, I guess. So I think we are definitely looking forward to trying that. Yeah, we'll just give it a try as well.
Definitely,
But it will be
definitely.
a limitation, right? For hard surface modeling, we can do it for by using AI, right? So for simple asset, we can use AI as an akriti, right? Just for like creating car asset, creating hard surface modeling asset, we can do it.
So right, so if I want to type I want a moving Ferrari across Paris
Okay.
near the Eiffel Tower, I can get a view of you know Paris Eiffel Tower and a Ferrari moving through the roads of that. Some similar kind of things, but in the coming time, definitely there will be the upgraded versions as well. The features will be coming very soon into that.
Okay. We'll
Apart
see.
from this, right, and I have heard, I don't know, but This things I have a doubt on this part. Like for creating any content into real estate industry, uh, is it
Yeah.
that thing that you can't use AI tools for creating any kind of
Yeah,
3D
we can
models?
use AI. We can use AI, but
Because
model needs to
they
be like, see in in architecture industry. So let's see, there is a sofa. Like there are few assets only, sofa, wall, and other things. But the model, if you use AI now, so the poly count should be greater. First thing, yeah, like by using AI, so there are two things, right? Chord trads. So we need chord. So we need to do topology again. So that's a long way. So it takes time. It's better than create a 3D model by using 3D software itself.
so there is not there is not a complete restriction. It's just their guidelines that their poly count should be into this range or something like that,
So we can
right?
do it. So it will like, if you suppose poly count will be up to 1K, then the result, like if you are putting a sofa up to 1K, so we can use that sofa as a architecture asset also.
Right. And nowadays, if you see, like before
Even we
the
have 900,
introduction,
right? So even we have 900. If you are using Unreal Engine, if you put 900 to the certain asset, the automatically the result will be changed.
all right. And this before the introduction of AI tools for 3D creation, it was a big challenge for the 3D artists or 3D model designers to create a model, and it used to take them along at least a month till a month, like one
Yeah,
week to
that time
one
the
month.
process was creating 3D models, creating two UV maps. One is for the model and one is for light map.
Right.
Okay. So we're gonna import those model in Unreal Engine. Here we have to set up light map. We have to set up the density for light map. So that time there is a thing called backlighting. So even now also we can use backlighting. So we have to mention there the this is the light map resolution. We have to add so many volumes there. So this is a long process before the lumen come.
Okay. And now the process has become
Yeah,
very much
much
shorter.
lesser, much lesser,
And
much.
this will be a benefit for the new guys as well,
Yes. Even now, so
who
most of
are
the people don't know the backlighting, but they know the real-time lighting.
okay. And this will actually help them because suppose if I am a fresher into this industry and NFT creations or 3D modeling is a big task for me. It is going to take me like 2 weeks, 3 weeks for to just creating a chair, if I can say.
No,
And
it's depend on like how you creating that asset. If you are
right,
fresh, almost it will take 1 week to create that asset. If you are
right.
intermediate level, so at least you take 1 day or 2 day for creating chair. If you are expert, it takes only 2 hours.
Right, exactly. So if I am just an amateur guy, it will take me a week. But by using AI tools, Ajnakriti, it is going to take me like
Even a
hardly 10
3D,
minutes.
yeah, yeah. That the pipeline will be shorter, right? If you get the 3D
Right,
model from AI, just we need to add that 3D model, import the 3D model to Unreal Engine or Unity, right?
right,
Yeah, there we had to do some shading factor and all the things.
right. So definitely these AI tools are going to reduce our time,
Yes,
and this is basically for a quality result. We can say we can optimize time for quality results now with the
yes,
help of such
right, right.
technologies and such tools, right?
Right.
So that's all we had to conclude in this panel discussion session, and that's all from my side. I hope you guys had a good insights about the particular topic. So it was great to have you both, Prathamesh and Abraham, on this panel discussion. I hope you had a great time here, and thank you so much for joining us. Namaskaram.